and good to be with my good friend, your great Senator, Harry Reid. Now, I understand Henderson is where Harry went to school as a boy and fought in the ring as an amateur boxer. Now, looking at Harry, you wouldn't say that. I mean, now, let's face it, you know. But I can personally attest that Harry Reid is one of the toughest people I know. He does not give up. He knows what he cares about, he knows what he believes in, and he's willing to fight for it. And sometimes he takes his licks, but he gets back up. Harry Reid has never stopped fighting. He hasn't stopped fighting for Henderson. He hasn't stopped fighting for Nevada. He has not stopped fighting for the United States of America and middle-class families all across this country that need a fair shake. I'm looking forward to hearing what's on your minds and trying to answer a few questions, but before I do, let me say a few words about the situation that folks are facing right now. Yeah, Harry's not one for sugarcoating things. I don't know if you noticed that. He's kind of a blunt guy. Neither am I. These are tough times. When President Kennedy was here, he called Henderson a city of destiny because he saw its potential as Las Vegas grew. But for too long, I know many of you have felt like your destiny has been slipping beyond your control. You don't need me to tell you that. All of you in some way have felt this recession. You felt it in the tourism and hospitality industry. You felt it in the construction industry. The unemployment rate here is 13%, which is the second highest in the nation. Foreclosures are also among the highest. Home values have fallen by more than almost any place else. And this is after a decade when, for most middle-class families, incomes actually shrank and wages flatlined. And the only thing rising faster was medical costs and the cost of education. So I know it's tough out there. Harry Reid knows it's tough out there. That's why we asked you to send us to Washington. We didn't run for the fancy title or a big desk or a comfy chair. We didn't run because it was fun to get your name in the newspapers. Most of the time it's not. We didn't run so a bunch of folks on cable TV could chatter about you. And we didn't run to kick our problems down the road. We ran to solve problems that folks like you are facing every single day. That's why we ran for office. That's why Harry wanted to be majority leader, and that's why I wanted to be president of the United States, to help you. When my administration took office, our immediate mission was clear. We needed to stop the Great Recession from turning into a Great Depression. And economists of every stripe were warning that was a real possibility. And that meant that we had to make some decisions swiftly, boldly, and not always popular, but decisions that were necessary. It wasn't a time for satisfying the politics of the moment. It wasn't time for just playing to the cameras. It was time for doing what was right. That's why we helped stabilize our financial system. Not because we felt any compassion for big banks, but because not doing so would have endangered the savings and dreams of millions more Americans. And by the way, I was committed to ensuring that if taxpayers were going to provide temporary assistance to keep our financial system afloat, then it actually had to be temporary. And I was determined to get back every single dime, and we are well on our way to doing that. Getting back every single dime from those banks. In fact, one battle we're having right now is we think the largest banks should be assessed a fee so the taxpayers are held harmless for the assistance that you've been given. As you might imagine, the banks are not enthusiastic about that. And it won't surprise you to learn that they've got a few friends in Congress who are willing to go along. But you know, Harry Reid's not one of those folks who are willing to go along. We're going to get your money back because Harry Reid's going to make sure you get your money back. We helped shore up the American auto industry. That wasn't popular. I understood why. Folks felt like these companies should reap the consequences of bad management decisions in the past, just like any other company would. But if we had let GM and Chrysler go under, it would have been hundreds of thousands of hard-working Americans who paid the price. Not just folks at those companies themselves, but at suppliers and dealers all across the country. So we told them, if you're willing to take the tough and painful steps you make that are needed for you to become more competitive, then we're willing to invest in your future. And as a result, auto production in the United States of America is up 69% from the first 3 months of 2009. GM CEO recently said that the company would repay $6.7 billion in loans from taxpayers with interest by June of this year. Now, one of the things you need to know is that the steps we've taken to shore up the banks and the autos, they have nothing to do with the Recovery Act. Those were separate. We had to do those as emergency measures. And I just want to point this out. Harry Reid, he's got his pollsters. I've got my pollsters.